Good morning, ladies. You have another snow day. Wow. So I wanted to lead you through a rather difficult section of the Odyssey. You've presently finished reading Circe, the Enchantress. You have seen how the men were turned into swine and how Odysseus, with the help of Hermes, was able to get them out of that, become friends with Circe. And he did stay with Circe for a while, and she gave him a great deal of advice. Now, Circe is one of those characters in the Odyssey that's both good and bad. She's an incredibly strong enchantress, much stronger than Calypso. And she knows many things. She knows that for Odysseus to successfully get home and defeat the problems at home, he needs advice. And the best place for him to get advice is from Teiresias. The problem is Teiresias is dead. So Odysseus has to go to Hades. He must go into hell in order to find this advice. So in your textbook, in your little Elements textbook on page 775, we see this lovely little picture of a vase, of Odysseus. He's wearing his hat, he has a sword, and the caption says, Odysseus pursuing Circe. So we can assume that on the flip side of the vase we have Circe. Just picture Odysseus like that, going into hell. In the italics, in the land of the dead, Odysseus learns his destiny. The source of his information is Teiresias, the famous blind prophet from the city of Thebes. The prophet's lack of external sight suggests the presence of true insight. Circe has told Odysseus exactly what rites he must perform to bring Teiresias up from the dead. Odysseus continues telling his story to King Alcinous's court. So in the italics there, you are reminded, Homer is telling this story to an audience, but he has taken the persona, the person of Odysseus. Odysseus telling the story to King Alcinous's court. And so Odysseus is making the story as a gift, so King Alcinous will give Odysseus a boat to take him home. Odysseus says, "Then I addressed the blurred and breathless dead, vowing to slaughter my best heifer for them before she calved at home in Ithaca, and burn the choice bits on the altar fire. As for Teiresias, I swore to sacrifice a black lamb, the handsomest of all our flock, thus to assuage the nations of the dead. I pledged these rites. Then slashed the lamb and ewe, letting their black blood stream into the well pit." So he already had sacrifice with him, plus he promised more. With the blood there, all of the dead people come. Now the souls gathered, stirring out of Teiresias, brides and young men, men grown old in pain, and tender girls, whose hearts were new to grief. Many were there, too, torn by brazen lancets, battle-slain, bearing still their bloody gear. From every side they came, and sought the pit with rustling cries. And I grew sick with fear. But presently I gave command to my officers to flay those sheep the bronze cut down, and make burnt offerings of flesh to the gods below, to sovereign Death, that's Hades, to pale Persephone, that's Hades' wife. Meanwhile, I crouched with drawn sword to keep the surging phantoms from the pit, till I should know the presence of Teiresias. So he keeps the other dead away. Nobody's going to drink the blood until Teiresias comes. He gets it first, and that will give him the gift of speech so Odysseus can learn about his destiny. Soon from the dark the Prince of Thebes came forward, bearing a golden staff, and he addressed me. Son of Laertes and the gods of old, Odysseus, master of landways and seaways, why leave the blazing sun, O man of woe, to see the cold dead in the joyless region? Stand clear, put up your sword, but let me taste of blood, I shall speak true. So he knows him by name, he knows him by his father, and the series of epithets are presented to tell us and to tell King Alcinous that Odysseus is all of these, man of woe. At this I stepped aside, and in the scabbard let my long sword ring home to the pommel silver, as he bent down to the sombre blood. Then spoke the prince of those with gift of speech. Great captain, a fair wind and honey lights of home are all you seek? But anguish lies ahead. The God who thunders on the land prepares it, not to be shaken from your track implacable, in rancor for this son, whose eye you blinded. One narrow strait may take you through his blows, denial of yourself, restraint of shipmates. When you make landfall on Trachea, first and quit the violet sea, dark on the land you'll find the grazing herds of Helios, by whom all things are seen, all speech is knowed. Avoid these kind. Hold fast to your intent, and hard seafaring things brings you all to Ithaca. If you raid the beeves, I see destruction for ship and crew. Though you survive alone, bereft of all companions, lost for years, under strange sail shall you come home to find your house filled with trouble, insolent men, eating your livestock as they court your lady? Aye, you shall make those men atone in blood, but after you have dealt out death in open combat or by stealth to all the suitors, go overland on foot and take an oar, until one day you come where men have lived with meat unsalted, never known the sea. Never known the sea, nor sea-going ships, but crimson bows and oars that fledge light holes for dipping flight. The spot will soon be plain to you, and I can tell you how. A passer-by will say, "What winnowing fan is that upon your shoulder?" Halt. Plant your smooth oar in the turf and make fair sacrifice to Lord Poseidon, a ram, a bull, a great buck boar. Turn back and carry out pure hecatombs at home to all wide heaven's lords, the undying gods, to each in order. Then a sea-born death, soft as this hand of mist, will come upon you when you are wearied out with rich old age, your country folk in blessed peace around you, and all this shall be just as I foretold. So the difficulty of this passage, as we back up here, and we look at who has been made angry, we see on line 620, but anguish lies ahead. The God who thunders on the land prepares it. So Poseidon, the god of earthquake, is still angry at Odysseus for having blinded Polyphemus. And Polyphemus cursed Odysseus. It's the disrespect for the gods and the disrespect for what is the gods that has led Odysseus to be cursed and will lead the men to then not make it home because they will have raided Helios's beef. They will have committed a sin against the god, and therefore they will be punished with their lives. So, by sending Odysseus to Hades, Circe allows him to see what's ahead. He doesn't necessarily feel he's going to be absolutely doomed, but he does make known to his audience that if he does lose all of his men, he will come home eventually, but under a strange sail, under a ship that is not his own. Is it possible here he's thinking King Alcinous might be the one to send him home? And so that is why it's included in the story. Also included in the story, he has to make right by Poseidon. So after he has taken care of the suitors and regained everything, he will make right by offering a sacrifice to Poseidon in a place that never heard of him.